Hello, and welcome to our second episode of That Wannabe Film Class, or technically speaking, our first official episode since the first one was a pilot. This is That Wannabe Film Class. I'm Ben Bellevue. I'm joined today by Chloe.
Hello.
Want to say hi, Chloe? There she is. Chloe Naylor and Logan Wilkinson.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? How you doing, Ben? How you doing, Chloe?
I'm out here chilling, man.
Doing fantastic.
This is the show where we talk about our favorite movies that fit into a specific theme that we have each month. This month, our theme is movies from the 2000s. That's the year 2000 through 2009. And this episode, we're talking about Logan's pick. Logan, you want to tell us what that pick is?
It is iRobot, starring one William Smith, all right?
William J. Smith. I don't think that's his actual middle name.
I would love it if it is, though.
I would love it if I just guessed that by accident. I mean, realistically, it's 1 in 26. It's not that hard. Anyway, so yeah, we're talking about iRobot. Mm-hmm. Before we jump into just like general discussion about the movies, how are you guys doing? What's going on in your life?
We're just vibing, yo.
Vibe check, you know what I mean? No,
check.
Oh yeah.
It's really cold for me and Chloe. We don't live in tropical wonderlands like Ben out here in the fucking like sunny shores of San Diego, California out there. It's actually cold, and there was some frost in the car. You know, it's that thing again. I moved to Texas to get rid of this shit in my life. I'm very upset about it. I don't like to talk about it, honestly.
Frozen and stuck in Chicago.
What's snow? I've never seen it. That's a joke. I've seen snow.
I hate you.
Yeah. You guys should feel really honored. I'm choosing to be on this. I'm not choosing to be on this. I have to be on this. It's our show. But I am sacrificing
the main host of the podcast.
Right.
Okay, but look. I had the opportunity to go see an early screening of Knives Out at 7 p.m. today with a Q&A after with Ryan Johnson.
Listen, this podcast is what's standing between
me and Mandalorian. Blockbuster director of the modern era.
Oh my god.
But it's okay because we're talking about iRobot with two of my favorite people, so that's a sacrifice worth making. We're wholesome. Here. I really hope this is recording my voice loud enough and I'm not just whispering into oblivion. Anyway. Today's also Disney Plus release day. Have you guys watched any of that yet?
No, I've been at work all day.
But you've watched some of it sounds like.
I've watched a fair amount. I watched The Mandalorian. I watched the first episode. Well, they're only releasing the first episode of all their stuff right now. But I watched the Mandalorian pilot. I watched the High School Musical, the series pilot. And I started watching the Jeff Goldblum docuseries show. He talks about sneakers for 30 minutes. It's a time. Okay. I'm not sure I like it.
Okay.
I feel like first of all, I love that I'm coming in here to a podcast that I came up with the idea for about enjoying things and love for things, and I'm about to be like, so
I hate this
let's talk about the things I don't like.
I hate this.
I don't hate it. I just feel like the idea of Jeff Goldblum looking into something, like, I love Jeff Goldblum. He's great.
He's great.
But he's not a journalist. He's not someone who's like built to actually like hammer down to the nitty gritty of something. So I feel like this show is just kind of too long. Like 10 minutes of him looking into something, cool. 30 minutes, I'm like, I want more information at this point. Now it's just kind of you reacting with awe every like minute. But yeah,
interesting.
It's also only the pilot episode, and you know, as I can attest, doing something new for the first time can be hard. So you never know what will come of it. I liked the High School Musical series a lot, though, which I am surprised by.
Yeah, I saw that tweet that you were.
Yeah, it's good. Like, I know I'm slightly
ring an endorsement
because it's High School Musical and I have that attachment.
Good.
There was a point.
Yeah.
There was a point for sure when I was watching it, and I'm like, would I like this if it wasn't about High School Musical? I think I would. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, man. It's different than the trailer. Because I didn't like the trailer. So if anyone's listening to this and they're like, man, that trailer looked bad, I agree with you. I think the show's better than the trailer makes it out to be.
Okay.
But we're not here to talk about Disney Plus. We're here to talk about Will Smith's 2004 iRobot.
I didn't pick this.
That's the thing,
I didn't pick this, which is
part
surprising.
of the reason why I wanted to do iRobot in the back of my mind was like, I love the idea of like having it be a heel turn and Chloe not picking the first robot movie, and instead it being either me or Ben being like, we're just gonna do robots right now before she can get there.
What if you and I just pick robot
movies from now on?
Like, forever.
Every movie is a robot movie.
And we make it tactical, so we're like attacking each robot movie we know Chloe would want to pick.
Sure. I like this idea a lot.
Yeah.
I like this idea a lot.
Like, I changed my 2000s movie to be Transformers, so Chloe can't.
Transformers?
No.
The Dark Side of the Moon,
so
or the fuck it's called.
Don't you even dare. Dark of the Moon, don't you dare take that from me.
I really wish this was a video podcast so people could see the pure fury that Chloe has
rage
on her
face.
right face.
So upsetting. Don't you dare. Don't even think about it.
It's fine. I don't like that movie enough to want to steal it.
Okay.
Okay. So before we jump into talking about the movie itself and what happens in it, I just have a few quick questions for you guys. Have we all seen this movie before?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Many times.
When was the last time you think you saw it? Like, was it recent? Has it been a while so you can't really keep track?
I always saw bits and pieces of it when my dad would watch it all the time. And it freaked me out. And I think I watched it semi-recently because I've never actually seen it all the way through. That was maybe like 5 years ago. I have no idea. I have no concept of time.
Now, would you say it freaked you out because you watched it, saw the robots, and went, this awakened something in me?
No, that was actually like scary. Like the beginning, like his nightmare, like in the water, like that freaked me out.
Yeah.
Which also
That
gave
shit
me
is
my
kinda
irrational
freaky, yeah.
fear of falling off the bridge that's falling apart by my house. So, you know.
Yeah, I get that. I think Spider-Man gave me a fear of falling off a bridge.
I get
I can
that.
see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you, Logan, you were saying you've seen it a bunch?
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, I saw it a ton when it came out, and like when it would just be on like TNT every like Thursday, basically for like 5 years. And so like I've seen it many times. I don't think I've seen the movie probably, truthfully, since then in like 8 years now. Probably. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's definitely been a long time for me too.
Yeah, which is why it was cool to go back to it. I think for me to be like to see how it does hold up from like what I remember it being in junior high, middle school, elementary school, whenever I watched it for the first time. And I think it does, interestingly.
I always remembered it as like the movie my dad watched, and like just hearing that's also how Chloe thinks of it. I feel like this is such a dad movie. This is such a dad movie.
Such a dad movie.
So my other quick question before we dive into this, the movie is very, very loosely based off of Isaac Asimov's books. Are any of us familiar with his work? I know I'm not.
Not
So
super.
I'm familiar with it to bring the dad vibe full circle here, because my dad was a big fan of his work, because my dad like owned a lot of his books and read a lot of his stories and books. I never did, but my dad is a big fan, so like I'm aware of it, that connection via that ring, when like again we watch a movie on my couch and like his name pops up at the end of the film or whatever, and it's like boom, like yeah, like I know him. I thought this movie was based off that kind of, and he got like really excited about it. And I was just like, I don't know who Isaac, whatever the fuck his name is here, but like yeah, shout out to Robots Man. You know what I mean? I'm a 9-year-old kid dad, but that's the only connection I have.
From the research I've done, it's pretty much fine because this is very, very loosely based off of Isaac Asimov's work. In fact, this originally started as a script called Hardwired, written by one of the two writers, Jeff Vinter, and it had nothing to do with Asimov whatsoever, but it was supposed to be made by Disney, and then Disney never finished it, or never like ended up producing it. So Fox picked it up, so now Disney basically. Oh man, this is a Disney movie, technically. Interesting. They own everything, it's fine.
Is it on Disney Plus?
I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like the Fox catalog is going to make its way to Disney Plus eventually. I know a couple movies are already there. Like I saw Home Alone, I saw Miracle on 34th Street, I saw Avatar. I didn't watch them. I saw them on the list.
Nice.
But yeah, so he wrote this script, Hardwired. It got to Fox, and then Fox was like, "Yeah, we're gonna make your movie." And then Fox got the rights to iRobot, and they're like, "Hey, what if we made your movie, but called it iRobot and had you change a couple things to make it fit into this Isaac Asimov world?" Which is interesting. It's a very Hollywood thing to do, but it is interesting to hear that it was something else first. I feel like that explains a lot of things that I was feeling watching this movie. It was directed by Alex Proyas, who's not done a ton of things that are super notable.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
a bunch of real
but
good movies.
it was nominated for Best Visual Effects, and the company that did its visual effects was Weta Digital. So that's pretty cool. Because Weta is talented. They also did Lord of the Rings. I believe they did the Planet of the Apes movies. They're a powerhouse.
Yeah, I've seen all those.
Have you not seen any of those movies? Have you not seen Lord of the Rings, Chloe?
That's okay. You imagine a dude walking through the woods for like 3 movies, and you've pretty much nailed down what the movies are.
That's exactly all I hear from like Kind of Funny. It's like it's just walking for 9 hours, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
You fucking got it. Yeah.
How fucking dare you?
Here's the thing. Let me give you that
masterpieces.
wannabe film class too long didn't read review of Lord of the Rings. Part 1, The Fellowship of the Ring. It's fine. It's good. You know what I mean? Frodo Baggins out there just having a little happy time, eating lots of shit, you know what I mean? Hanging out with fucking what's his wizard face name guy. And then like it's cool. They're all vibing. I like it. Sean Bean dies, Avi.
They're just
and
vibing.
And then Two Towers come along. That movie, Two Towers, all right, that one's lit. That one's rad. A lot of cool shit's happening. You get some like talking, walking trees. I like that a lot. That's the
worst
best one. The best one in the entire series. Then you get to Return of the King. And let me tell you what, if you're a fan of movies that are approximately 15 hours long and don't know when to end and have like 87 3/4 endings in them, then Return of the King is a movie for you. But if not, then that is not a motion picture film that you should watch because it's just fucking... It doesn't know how to end. It's like the never-ending story, but it came to life, and it's a nightmare. And I'll never forget that. I still have like vivid nightmares about it. That's your thing.
How is this the never-ending story come to life if they both are movies that exist in this world?
Never-ending story actually exists as a movie.
Here's the thing, and I say this with all due respect. Fuck that. Return of the King is the real never-ending story. It doesn't end. I'm not convinced that there's still like an ending going on right now in that movie.
Return of the King is very long. It's a very drawn-out battle scene, but it has good moments. It has some really good moments. The first movie's the best one. Logan can fuck off with the second movie.
I mean, here's the thing. Two Towers is the best one. So, that's just facts.
So, iRobot.
iRobot! Instead of Lord of the Rings. We're not here for that.
Logan, as the man who has presented us with iRobot, do you want to take us away on this grand recap journey in which we will say all of our opinions?
Let me pull up the Wikipedia page here again and take you all back to the mystical year of 2035. The far future. Impossible to imagine. It's not like it's like 15 years away now or anything. And like, yeah, fucking robots are everywhere. All over the place. We got the 3 laws of robotics. Basically, the only one that like really matters is that like robots can't kill people. They can't like harm people. They can't do any shit to people. That's like all you really need to know for the point of the movie. You got Will Smith.
But it's not that robots can't kill people.
They can't harm them.
Because that's like... It's what's the official wording of it? Because like because they have a workaround to that rule later in the movie. So I'm trying to figure out.
I'm looking to find the actual like thing, whatever.
It's like they have to protect people or something.
A robot may not harm humanity is like the thing, I think, is the first rule.
Okay. Sure. And this is one of the things brought into the movie because of it becoming iRobot, because that's an Isaac Asimov creation that wasn't there originally. Originally, this movie was just a detective goes to investigate a murder, and all the suspects are robots.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? And like, I think iRobot is a really actually pretty cool like murder mystery plot kind of thing with like very like Agatha Christie vibes at times, and like I think that is the part that does hold up a lot, right? Where it is like Will Smith, going to like basically, like so like we kind of teased already. Like there's a scene early on where he has like a nightmare essentially. He crashes in a car with like a 12-year-old girl or whatever. The robot has to pick like who's gonna survive kind of thing. He picks Will Smith because he's more likely to survive because he's not a fucking 12-year-old girl. And then Will Smith has like gets a new arm and then ribs and I think a lung as well. And like all like prosthetic like robotic ones. And then it cuts to like one of the scenes that for no reason at all is like one of the scenes that's like most like seared into my brain from like when I first watched it in like 2004 whatever it came out to now is Will Smith, he does a bunch of shit where like he finds Converse, does all that stuff, gets ready for his day, and then is a scene of him like in the shower, like very like brutally just like standing there like getting like rained on, and that shot is like put in my brain for no reason. Him just being like, I'm fucking moody in the shower. It's like, oh man, that is like the image when I think of iRobot that I go to first for your weird iRobot fun fact. We'll get back to that in top 3 scenes.
My first iRobot, My first iRobot image also comes from this scene, but it's not him in the shower. Although he does stand very weirdly in the shower.
That's what it is. Like the
And
way
who
it's the way he's standing in the shower. He's like, I don't know how to shower. It's like very abnormal.
Curtain.
He does have a shower curtain. Like,
Also
what are
that.
you doing, Will Smith?
Your whole bathroom is wet
Um,
now, dude.
Yeah, like half the audience watching that scene. The thing that stood out to me when I first watched this movie, and the image that always sticks with me when I think of iRobot, is just the Converse. Like that, I don't remember the last time I saw this movie until watching it for this podcast, and I always just think of iRobot as, oh yeah, the Converse movie. That was the movie where my brain first like understood what Converse were.
But why? Why is that a thing? Like, oh my god, like nice shoes, dude. And they're like, they're just Converse. What?
Hey. We don't shit talk Converse in this podcast, all right? We're not here
I
to
wasn't shit talking.
trash talk Converse.
Why is everyone else trash talking it in the movie? Like, nice shoes, loser. And they're just Converse.
Because they're fucking cool, and everybody's got like the dorky nerd shoes. Anyway, he's in the shower, being cool and being moody and standing like a weirdo. Gets out, goes to his office. A bunch of stuff happens. The important thing is that he goes to the like U.S. robotics and like mechanical engineering people, man, robot thing.
Excuse
And
me, you skipped an important detail here.
did I?
Shia
You
LaBeouf
did.
is here.
Shia
Wait,
LaBeouf is
I don't
in this
think
movie.
He is, but like this isn't like the big scene from me of Shia LaBeouf yet that we're like that like I care about. Yeah, like Shia LaBeouf's in the movie. He's like an obnoxious like 14-year-old kid.
It's just being Shia LaBeouf.
I'm not saying anything he does in this scene is important. I'm saying that when I watched this, he
Shia.
walked.
Oh, did you
into
not know
the
he?
street.
You knew he was in the movie though, right? We told you, I think.
I definitely forgot. So he walked into the scene, and I was like, "Holy shit, Shia LaBeouf!
Yeah.
I want to see your new movie." Yeah, that was the only comment I made. Also, when he gets to the U.S. robotics and his car is like brought into that weird ass garage, shit's dope.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like that's a thing
want
that
that
like I
garage.
remember. There's another scene later on that we'll get to, but like the cars in general, I like think are really cool in this movie. Like it's that thing like for sci-fi or like slightly futuristic movies in general, like how they handle like technology thing and like cars and transportation is like a somewhat important aspect of like set in the world, and like the cars in this movie are rad. Like they're so cool and like they look cool, especially like in 2004 when they looked a bit better. But like even the thing of like driving them, like putting them like autopilot and like sliding down, it's like this is all rad looking shit. Like I would just love all of this. Like it's like so anyway, yeah, he drives his car, that does that, and then yeah, Dr. Alfred Lannon is like the head, is like one of the co-founders of the robotics thing, and like a big and like that kind of community. And then he helped Will Smith get healed up after his accident. I don't know if we know that yet, but we're going to. So spoiler alert for the movie from 15 years ago.
Future spoilers.
Yeah, and basically he's dead. He falls to his death. His like other like buddy CEO guy, or not buddy CEO guy, Lawrence something Robertson, I think. And yeah, I think so. I'm on Wikipedia. I guess I can find this up.
I just call him Mr. Capitalism in my head.
Sure. And the police are all like, oh, like he committed suicide. He was like, sad, and he didn't have any friends that weren't robots, kind of thing. And I was like, all right, cool. But then Will Smith is like,
Chloe's dream.
not my man, not my G. That doesn't sound like him. And so he like investigates up with the woman who like I don't know her actual like character name. I just know her from like the other movies and TV shows she's been in.
Character name is Calvin because that's my brother's name. No, Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh, okay. So Calvin and Hobbes is out here too. Dr. Calvin Hobbes is out here along with them being like, yo, like, let's investigate kind of shit. Because she's out there doing like a like robot doctor lady who consults like the U.S. robotics place like main like artificial intelligence thing, also known as Vicky, which we're like, shout. Yeah, and then so they review some footage, basically, check out what happened. The footage is like all fucked up. It's all like corrupted and everything else like that. But they see that there are like no humans in the thing as well, right? Like there's nobody else there. So like, oh, what happened here? And then Will Smith is like, yo, that window though is like hella strong. It's hella dummy thick, and like no human could break it. Like only a robot could break it. And like he like turns the camera and like it zooms into his face like a TV telenovela. And then yeah, he's like, all right, cool. Like it had to have been a robot that was involved in some way. And then yeah, Dr.
And
Calvin.
for the first,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah.
No, go.
For the first of many times, you hear them be like,
Robots
"No,
can't
a
kill
robot
people."
couldn't possibly
Yes.
do this. He just committed suicide." And I'm like, "Okay, sure."
And so yeah, he's doing that thing, And then yeah, Calvin is like, it couldn't have been him. Like, it couldn't have been a robot. Like, robots can't do it. The three laws again. Like the phrase like, no, but the three laws is mentioned. Like, there should have been like a drinking game for that, because like you'd be fucking slosh man to this movie. And yes, but like as you're going back and forth, a robot whose name we'll eventually learn is Sonny like comes in and just like fucking starts beating the shit out of Will Smith basically. And then like the police end up capturing it because like that's what they'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a really cool scene with him hiding in the among all the robots though. That's a
Again,
really
like,
cool scene.
Another tease to like again what one of my like 3 scenes will be later on when we talk about those. But it's like I think like Sonny in general as like kind of a tangent on this, like
He's the best character.
Yes, I
So
fucking
great.
love. He's so good.
I
in this
love
movie.
Sonny,
Yes.
played by Alan Tudyk.
Yes,
Which I did not know.
yes, played by Alan Tudyk.
He's fantastic.
And like this is one even like being a kid, and I'm glad that like it still held up. Like me just being like, I just want to know everything about this character. Like I like anytime he's on screen, I want him to be on screen because he is just like, even though it's just like Alan Tudyk's voice and like the actual model probably wasn't even there. It's like he's got such a presence in every single scene he's in, and like just kind of like this energy to him. And I think that
He also, I feel like, is so stripped from
Yes.
a different type of movie.
Yes.
Which I feel like this movie has kind of a split personality between like the movie it was originally and the movie it kind of needs to be to make it iRobot. And because of that, I feel like at this point especially, they develop more over time, but like at this point I didn't care about Will Smith's character and I didn't care about Dr. Calvin's character because they felt very like one-dimensional. Will Smith is just like, I'm angry at robots, and Dr. Calvin is like, no, they can't be bad.
It's only kind of funny, huh?
And you're not funny, which is true. Will Smith's character isn't very funny. He keeps trying to make jokes and they're bad.
I mean, like I don't know when we want to do that, but like yeah, Will Smith's character in general is one who I think I wouldn't have written him like this.
Yeah.
But I think that like we do. I think as the movie goes on, right, and as like so like the police catch him, right. We find out Sonny that he was like specially built just by Lennon himself. He's got like kind of like stronger materials in him, and like a whole other kind of like neural network doodad thing. Basically, to like give him the ability, which is the key thing, like to ignore the three laws, kind of to think independently, right, and to kind of have like, as he claims, emotions and dreams. Like the dream one in particular, like the big like thing that'll kind of pay off at the end here, and I think that's also great. And like when he kind of explains all this, and so yeah, like he's out doing his thing, and like Will Smith goes out and like is out just doing cop shit.
So
I don't
he
know.
goes to the
And he's
scientist's
attacked
house,
by like
right?
giant
when
like
they demolish it.
machine thing.
Is this is the house? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Landon's house.
one of what I call.
Yeah, tell me.
He goes to the dead scientist's house.
I'll just
But
say
this
one of the
is-
funniest
I noticed
lines.
something,
I
and I
actually
made a
audibly
note. I'm
laughed. He
trying
was
to,
like talking to the cat. He's like, "It's just not
figure
gonna
out
work
where
out.
it
You're a
is.
cat. I'm black." It's like, it's good.
That is very good.
That like yeah, that's a fair one. And like the house, like it's a thing. Like I actually like the house scene. I feel like I remember it playing out differently in my head from like when I had watched it last. But like I still like ultimately like the house thing, and like again like iRobot is flawed. I'll acknowledge. But I think it does do like its action scenes for the most part like pretty well.
I think especially because I kind of agree with you. Sorry, I totally interrupted you. I agree with you. I think for me, I had to tailor my expectations because I was definitely watching some of these action scenes and I was like, I don't really like this. But also, this was like the beginning of big CGI spectacle.
Yeah.
And we're in just like such a more advanced stage of it that it's like, it's hard for a movie that's that's so built off of heavy CGI and like big action set pieces tied into that to feel as cool now when we've seen so much that builds on that than it probably was watching it in 2004 where you didn't see shit like this that much.
Yeah, and I think like we're not there yet, but there's a scene later on where he's in the car basically, right? And they're like all like fucking people like jumping out of like the vehicles in front of him, like behind him, like try to trash his car. And like that scene is one in particular where it's like I think parts that CGI aged still pretty well like now. I think parts don't. Like I think like images of like the car spinning around that like are not very well still, or not very good still. But like this movie's kind of cool too because it is a weird time capsule of like the jump to CGI in like a big way in terms of like action set pieces and movies. And so like it's interesting to see how those kind of films have aged or haven't aged, and how well like things look still and don't look right. And like, I think all of the droids look fucking great. Like they all like look so good still. But there was a scene that we're kind of building towards where Will Smith be like walking around like in a giant warehouse of like 1,000 of them basically.
So bad.
And it's like once he starts walking in between the rows, it's like this is all fake. Like it's all very clearly green screen. It's this does not look great. But again, it's like I feel like it's them all kind of figuring out on the fly because they had to just kind of invent this thing and go with it, right? They didn't have 15-year head start.
And I think to this movie's credit also, they had the limitations of like what they physically could do with CGI, but in terms of where they didn't have limitations, they actually have like a pretty solid idea of what the future looks like. Obviously, we don't have robots now, and we don't have cars that look like that. But a couple of the things I saw was like swipe to pay was one of the things that they had in that little diner scene before he goes to the house, or like voice activation. I'm like, yeah, that's totally the kind of stuff we actually do have right now. Or even just like seeing his apartment or his grandma's apartment. It's like, yeah, this isn't some highly advanced, perfectly clean, futuristic set. It's, you know, the way we live now, but with some added tech, which is cool. They do a cool job of that.
And like, I think to take it back to the like recap too, like I think the house scene works for me because like it's like a giant demolition machine, right? And like a squad of like the robots, and like I think it's well done enough. Like I think it's at a good time of like the day, right, where it's like not in the middle of the day, it's just like kind of darker, and like I think it all lets it add this kind of better air to it. And it's also like the first real like big set piece of the movie in a lot of ways.
For sure.
And I think like how they kind of talk about like monster movies being scariest when like you don't really know what's happening. It's like we still have just like so little idea of like what the fuck is going on, but like I think it adds something to it. But yeah, so like that happens. He gets attacked. He survives obviously because he's Will Smith. He goes back to like the police station kind of thing. His boss is like, "Yo, you tripping a little bit," and takes him off active duty, suspecting that like the other co-founder from the U.S. robotics industry, that one guy, Lawrence, what's his face, is there. Spooner and Dr. Calvin and Hobbs sneak in to the USR like headquarters, and again, like this is the cool one where again like they talk to Sonny and have this whole kind of interaction, and he sketches out like the like recurring dream he has, right, of like him like as like the leader of a giant fucking like mountain of robots on top of a hill near like a decaying bridge. And like he says like the man on the hill is Spooner, and it's one of my favorite like scenes. Like, and I think this scene holds up well still. Like it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Like this whole exchange between like them all. We talked about like this dream, right? And this like has the whole thing sketched out, like what it is and who is on the top of the hill. And like I think it's one of the best, I think, usage of the like film's supposed like big question of like what does it mean to be human kind of thing. And I think this scene, this exchange, right, and like Sonny's, I think dialogue in general just kind of is the best written. I mean, just by like a lot in the movie. And I think this kind of whole like monologue and back and forth in particular is like one of the highlights of the film for me. Is like when he first kind of sketches out like this is what my dream is kind of thing.
This is kind of obvious because like he's a robot in a movie, but he definitely gives me Vision vibes just in the way he talks.
Okay.
Like for a second I thought he was Paul Bettany. Before I found out it was Alan Tudyk, I was like, is that Paul Bettany? Did they hire him for Vision because he's done this before? Because he kind of has that cadence where he's just like very analytical but not devoid of emotion.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And like I think that there's a similar energy to Sonny and Vision. I think one of the biggest differences that I appreciate about Sonny is that like Sonny seems a bit more not like unhinged, but like just like he's no idea what's kind of going on the same way. Where it's like Vision very much like I feel like is like the smartest person in the room. And like in the way, certainly thinks it, in the way that like he knows like kind of what's happening. Whereas I feel like Sonny is probably the smartest person in the room, but like he still doesn't know so much about what's going on, like and who he is and what he is and like what is going. Like he's in like no control of the events either. And I think that like that kind of like element of kind of like fear and like not being sure that's in Sonny, as opposed to Vision, is like really cool to see in like these kind of flashes and moments at times. Like even in this scene, like the dream is like I don't really know what this is, and like I don't know why I keep thinking of it again and again and again.
Right, that's a good distinction.
But yeah, so anyway, they have that exchange, and then the bad CEO guy, Lawrence, what's his face, finds out Sonny is not fully bound by the three laws things, and he orders Dr. Calvin to destroy him, by injecting like a weird like drug blue liquid thingy into his brain. Yeah, Spooner finds like the landscape image in Sonny's drawing is like Michigan, which is now like a dry, just like nothing, no water's in it kind of thing. But also, more importantly, a storage area for decommissioned robots. So that'll put a pin in that one. Kids will come back there. And like while he's there, he discovers more like robots destroying older models and preparing for a takeover of power from the humans. That's ominous. Cue the music. No, it's then like shit goes bad. Basically, shit goes down, and it goes hella fucking down, and like all the cities are attacked. Everybody's kind of freaked out. Like robots are just doing everything, and it's bad, like as bad as it gets. Like Spooner rescues, like Will Smith rescues Dr. Calvin and Hobbes, who's being like held captive in her apartment by like, I think it's her own droid, right? It's not one that just came. It's actually like her personal droid, right? If I remember correctly. Okay, that's what I thought. And yeah, so they all like he saves her or whatever, and then they go like into the headquarters kind of thing. They meet Shia LaBeouf like multiple times throughout all this exchange, right, to give Ben like his like kick.
There's that one moment when when he sees Shia LaBeouf and the robot attacks him, and Dr. Calvin just goes wild with that gun.
She
like
shoots with
yes,
her eyes
blind.
closed.
And this is
with
my
an
favorite
assault rifle.
It's fucking incredible.
Terrible. Oh my god.
Like
Will Smith should be dead.
Like Will Smith and Shia LaBeouf's response to that is still the funniest scene in the entire movie to me. It's like so good. Like it's been like she had her eyes closed the whole time, and like they just like immediately turn around and be like, "What the?" Like it's so good, and it was so funny, and like, oh god, I remember like laughing as a kid to now.
I can't believe that the filmmakers had the gall to be like, no, she's not gonna shoot once with her eyes closed with like a pistol and make it work. She's gonna shoot multiple rounds with an assault rifle, and none of them will hit Will Smith.
Here's the thing. Calvin and Hobbes, she's got some like magic to her. She got some skills to her, and one of them includes her bullets only hit not people, and it leads
They're
to
actually magnetic. It's crazy.
Exactly, cinematic bullets, and it leads to pure filmmaking gold. It is absolutely one of the best moments in the entire movie. So that all happens. They're in the headquarters now, and they meet up with Sonny again, who like Dr. Calvin couldn't kill, whatever, and so they do the whole thing, still thinking that like the evil like CEO guy Lawrence is like the baddie. They like all go to his office kind of thing, and then find out that he's been hella strangled by another one of his droids, just like hella dead, just hella killed. Turns out
Not to be confused with kind of killed.
Being a human in this movie, not it actually, not actually where it's at.
Not it, Chief.
not it, Chief, exactly. So yeah, so they're all like, okay, damn, fuck, and then Will Smith is like, all right, cool. Here's my hypotenuse, guys. I think it's actually Vicky. I think she's the baddie here. They figure out it's Vicky, that she's the one to kind of blame, that's kind of controlling everything, and that she's kind of like evolved to understand the three laws in a different way, right? Where it's like human behavior towards other people and like the environment is ultimately going to cause humanity's extinction, right? So she's like, all right, cool. Like humans are the greatest danger kind of thing. It's like that kind of like classic kind of storytelling kind of conclusion.
Shout out to Ultron.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, like, but a lot of ways, yeah. Like, there's a lot of shout outs to actually Age of Ultron in this movie when you think about Vision.
Oh my god, I know, right?
It really is.
And yeah, so she's like, all right, cool. Like I have to kind of like restrain and like stop humans from doing shit and like sacrifice some humans so like all of them will survive. And so yeah, that's her whole pitch and like her evil villain plan. Will Smith is like, all right, like Lennon discovered Vicky's plan and tried to stop her, couldn't, and then created Sonny to kind of kill Lennon and bring in Spooner so that he'd kind of figure out the plan and be able to kind of help do what he could to stop Vicky. And also at some point in time, Will Smith got in a car crash and it was fucking cool. Again, with all the droids and the things. It was rad.
Yeah. And that's where you find out that he has the robot arm, which I really liked. I thought that was really cool.
It's a nice moment.
I would have liked a couple
bigger clues,
that there was
foreshadowing.
Like something up with him. Yeah, I would have liked a little bit more foreshadowing, but I definitely liked that moment itself where it's like the robot attacks him and you see the wiring in his arm. And for a second I'm like, wait, is he a robot? And then I get it. Oh my god, that's the twist.
That's it. He hates robots because he is one.
I think the thing for me is that like I like the twist better now. I remember as a kid I was like, that's kind of dumb. Partially because like there was no real like foreshadowing, partially because I was just like, well, like why is he a robot now? Is he a cyborg? Like I have so many questions here. And now I'm like, oh, and like it works in terms of like the story they're trying to tell and like the arc of like what they're doing here. And I think it's a cool moment for like Will Smith's character to show that he's not just like the kind of like asshole-ish guy he's been for like most of the movie. It's
it
actually
makes it
like
more interesting for sure.
yeah, like weird enough, like him having like some sort of like robot in him actually makes him like more human and like actually like shows like other layers to who this character is and who the person is, and I think and like adds layers to him, which he really only had one up until that point for most of the movie. But yeah, they do that. So the three all go to Vicky's core, and this is one where it's like it's a scene. It's a scene.
It happens.
The climax. Sonny gets tasked to like putting a bunch of shit, like getting it from like Calvin's lab, and he can only do it because like blah 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 blah, like because he's a robot. Basically, that's all you really need to know. So he grabs him, understands Vicky's logic because remember he's also like hella mad smart. But reasons her plan is too heartless. She can't. She's like nah, she's not like, you know what I mean. They fight a shit ton of robots, just like fucking crawling with robots all over Vicky, which is actually kind of cool. That part's kind of cool. And then yeah, Will Smith basically just like dives into Vicky's core, injects her with the fucking like nano robot shit, whatever we want to call it. That's really what it is basically. And boom, she's dead. And then like all the robots go. It's basically this scene after he like dives in, stabs her with the thing, and like she gets like destroyed or whatever, is basically now the ending of the Phantom Menace after Anakin blows up the Trade Federation battleship. Where like all the droids just like stop them and just like flow, like oh, and just kind of do their thing.
It's the Avengers moment.
Sure, or that too, right? I like my Phantom Menace shout out better, but alright, cool.
I appreciate your Phantom Menace shout out. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like I try to make the listeners and audience of the show happy, and I know what they want, and it's the Phantom Menace. So I bring it to them.
Want that?
The Phantom Menace is not the worst Star Wars movie.
That's true. That's fair. That's
Maybe
accurate.
not even in my bottom two, potentially.
It's on my bottom two either.
Yeah, so
It's my third.
That's how it is for me. I'm counting Solo and Rogue One as like movies I'm ranking as well, and so like yeah, and so yeah,
What
so
are
they
your
all
bottom two then?
what
What are your bottom two?
I would say for me it'd probably be, I mean like Attack of the Clones is the worst one, just objectively,
Yes.
and probably Solo. I mean like I don't like so like it's also a thing of like
Me too.
yeah, and I'll also say this is where like the disagreement will now come. So we agree on like everything movie related except for like this basically. I'd also personally have it set thing of like I think The Last Jedi is a well-made film, but it is my least favorite Star Wars movie.
I so much. I really don't like.
I resent you both. I resent you both so
I know.
much. I can't wait to make you watch it again.
No, don't I hate it?
I mean, I'm gonna watch it again before. I'm gonna watch all of them again before, obviously, Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I am too.
And
It gets better the more times you watch it.
It gets worse for me, man.
But yeah, so like they kill Vicky, all the droids go back to normal, whatever. Will Smith gets Sonny to say that, yep, like I didn't kill Lennon. It was he told me to do it, kind of thing. And he said like we wanted to bring you into the investigation thing. And then Will Smith is like, well, you know what? Like since you're just like a droid and a machine, you can't legally commit murder. And so
Yeah,
Sonny's
super
like,
cool.
Sonny's like lit and bounces. And like the final scene of the movie is like him back at Lake Michigan, sitting on top of the hill with like all the decommissioned robots like turning towards him, like the picture in his dream, and it's like he's the robot on top of the hill, not Will Smith. It's him this whole time, guys. The message is that the power's within you. You know what I mean? And it's like it was really nice and it all ends and he's happy, and that is iRobot.
That is iRobot. So, what are our initial thoughts about this movie?
It's a good time.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
curious
fun
about Chloe.
watching it
Just a
today.
good time.
Yeah, I'm most curious to hear like Chloe's initial thoughts too, because I feel like Logan and I definitely did the talking throughout the recap. So take it away, Chloe.
Oh God, I don't know what you want me to say.
You have
I got
notes?
a lot of.
You said you have notes.
I have notes, and they're all jokes. Which
You're all
Throw 'em
joking.
at us.
Yeah,
We
just do your
split-
stand-up comedy
split
act right now. Then yeah.
you know, okay, yeah. I didn't realize this took
want
place
your
in
tight 10.
Chicago. That was great. What?
We want your tight 10.
Oh God. Let's see. I like the part where they go into the factory looking for Sonny, and Will Smith is like, "Robots building robots. That's just stupid." And I'm pretty sure C-3PO said the exact same thing in Attack of the Clones. So wow.
I noted that exact same dialogue because I was like, yeah.
I
Can we also just talk about how pretentious of a suicide note that is? It's like, hey, here's my suicide note. You can only interact with it through asking it questions, and they have to be the right ones. And if you
And I
ask the
hate-
perfect one,
Every fucking time he was like, "That is the right question," and then he doesn't answer, and I'm like, "What the fuck was the point with that? What the fuck?" And I'm like, "I'm too
why do you
stupid
exist?
to." Please. Answer it. I'm dumb. I can't infer this. Tell it to me. Spoon. Oh,
I also
please, spoon. Okay.
I also just feel like he's trying to like teach Will Smith a lesson, but Will Smith doesn't need to learn that. He's like, Will, you need to learn to question things, and I'm like, he does question things. That's all he does.
He's super paranoid. Already.
Yeah,
hates
Will Smith
robots.
is definitely a tinfoil hat wearing guy for sure.
Yeah.
Questions everything.
He is incredibly
He's like, I'm not
rude
gonna
and
have
racist
a
of robots. Oh my god.
Will Smith. All I'm saying is
I'm gonna
like
have a record player that you have to press buttons for because I don't trust the robots.
Will Smith in this movie is an anti-vaxxer. Somebody had to say it.
Oh my god.
God, you're right.
I mean,
You're right.
Like that's the kind of thing,
Will
right?
Smith-
Yeah.
he's so.
I'm gonna be
mean to
real.
robots.
Will Smith's character doesn't make sense to me. Like, throughout the movie, I'm just going, okay, so you hate a robot because, like, I understand him not trusting a robot. If you said, oh, Will, you have to partner with this robot. He's your partner on the force now. And he was like, no, I don't trust them. I'd get that. But just, like, his pure animosity towards them, it doesn't make sense to me. Because it's like, because he's saying that they are just machines. They don't have emotions. And I'm like, then why do you hate them? Do you hate the car for sinking with the girl in it?
It's a weird, yeah, how he gets into like the justification of being like, fuck that robot for saving my life because it like led to the 12-year-old like girl dying, and it's the thing like I get that, but then it's just like it is just like such a pure visceral hatred. It's like, man, this is real intense. Like
I kind of understood it more until we learned more about the drowning. Because when we first saw the drowning scene, I thought it was like he was trying to rescue this girl. So when the robot pulled him out, I was like, oh, he could have saved her, but the robot pulled him out, and he hates them for that because they don't process things the right way. And I'm like, okay, I guess I can kind of understand that. Like, it still seems dumb, but sure.
Sure.
But then I find out that it's just that the robot saved him instead, and like Will had no way of helping the girl.
He
and
had
I'm like,
a 45% chance of surviving, and she had an 11. There we go. The only reason. Logical. But what you described earlier with him having a robot partner, is that not just, what is it, Bright? That Netflix?
That is Bright. That is Bright, yeah.
it's also like one of the storylines in Detroit Become Human.
I had notes about Detroit Become Human too.
Yeah,
it's like this
absolutely.
is the game.
Throw them at us, Chloe.
Well, like when they were trading in the old robots, that was like so sad because the old robots are like so cute looking. New ones are fucking scary, and I'm like, that's how Detroit
like the
Become
old
Human
robots, yeah.
started. That's exactly how like that demo we played at PSX. It's like he was gonna be replaced, so he like rebelled, and then talk him off a ledge. Terrible.
I feel like this movie has three different versions of this movie, and they're all competing with each other, and it's hard for them to, because there's the hard
that sounds like?
where it's like
That sounds like Detroit Become Human, which has 3 plots going on at once.
Just play Detroit Become Human, guys.
I've never played Detroit Become Human.
It's a good time.
Yeah. There are 2 great stories in there, I would say.
Look, I only have so much free time.
Marcus is
Jedi
bad.
Fallen Order is coming out. I want to play more of the Outer Worlds. I'm on that space kick, man. I want my robots to be on distant planets with me.
That's...
Not Chicago. Who wants to be in Chicago?
Nobody wants to be in Chicago.
There you go. But no, I feel like... So I did a little research on this movie. And the original movie, Hardwired, was a, like, Agatha Christie-style detective thing. So, like, very much like Logan was talking about. And it was set in one building the entire time. And it was just, like, one human character and everyone else was a robot. And they were all the suspects. And then as it morphed because iRobot got brought in, but it also morphed into more of an action spectacle because of Will Smith becoming attached to it. And they're like, oh, we can make more money off of this. Which is cool in some ways, because that's the reason we were able to get that giant scene with all those robots and Sunny hiding in them. But it also means that I feel like there's the, like, detective movie, there's the action spectacle movie, and there's the philosophical iRobot movie, and they're all at war with each other. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of fun to watch, but also very messy.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I love my messy, bad movies.
I think the movie is one that I feel like originally had an idea of what it wanted to be, like the story I wanted to tell, and then I feel like it just started being like, what if he did this thing too, and this thing too, and this, and then like you said, but it became like 3 different movies at once, and it's like that, like it had a weird like Spider-Man 3 moment where like not as bad obviously that, but it's that thing of like, all right, let's just do a story about like the Sandman and that kind of thing. But it's like, oh, but also we can do like Harry Osborn, and also we can do Venom now too. And it's like, all right, but like one of these is really cool, one of them is like fine, and one of them is like bad, and it's like you could have just done like one really good movie, and so you get one that's just like bad because of the messiness of this. And like iRobot is a better movie than Spider-Man 3, but then again, so is a bullet to the head. But I think that Ben disagrees, but apparently, but here's the thing: Spider-Man 3, top 3 worst superhero movies.
Whoa.
I think Spider-Man 3 is okay. It has its moments.
No, Spider-Man 3 is not. It's real bad. Just for Tobey Maguire dancing alone. And I love Tobey Maguire. I love Tobey Maguire. Again, Spider-Man 2 is my favorite Spider-Man movie, but like Spider-Man 3.
I will say, Spider-Man 3, as stupid as that dance scene is,
Ben's gonna try to justify it right now.
I found out recently that originally it came after a different scene, and with that scene, it makes a lot more sense because it's very clearly like making fun of Peter. But then they move the scenes around now, then it just looks like stupid and out of place, and like they're trying to make him look cool. And I'm like, this is awful. I hate it.
Chloe, tell me your stand-up jokes.
Something there.
I want that.
More of my stand-up jokes?
You got any more jokes?
Any more jokes?
What I got here? Oh, at the end, it's not a joke, but at the end he was like, does this make us friends? But he paused right after does this, and I was like, is he about to say, does this unit have a soul? Am I about to lose my mind over this? But, like, no. That's just me wanting to replay Mass Effect and not doing it because it makes me sad.
That's fair.
Yeah. Dude, he's like super racist against robots. He calls them, like, canner, and I'm like, oh my god, is that, like, super, like, wow, dude.
You know what I just realized looking back through my notes also?
Huh.
He has an ex-wife, and in the beginning of this movie, he makes so many, like...
There's so many ex-wife jokes,
sexist jokes about the ex-wife, yeah. But then you never meet her, and I'm like, why do we have this detail?
No. When he first brought her up, I'm like, oh, the ex-wife is
She's
the scientist. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought the ex-wife was a scientist, yeah.
And then I watched it, I was like, oh, wait, no, she isn't. Like, what the fuck then?
You know what this movie's dynamic kind of reminds me of, but like not as good? Another Will Smith science fiction masterpiece. I don't know why I said another when I added masterpiece to it, because you get what I mean. It reminds me of Men in Black. It reminds me
Men in Black
this movie
great.
Kind of, it's great. But this movie it kind of makes me feel like they saw Men in Black and they saw the end when he partners up with the doctor, and they're like, what if we had an entire movie about those two? But with robots instead of aliens.
But see, even
I know that's not what happened.
Even that I don't agree with, right? Because like my big issue with this movie, like certainly one of my biggest, is the fact that like I don't really love Will Smith and like Calvin together. Like I don't think like I think they're like fine, but like their chemistry is not like even like the random like coroner from Men in Black and Will had like way better chemistry in like the few scenes they had in that movie too. Like the second half of the movie, whatever they're in. Than Will and Calvin, who's in the entire movie together. Basically, every scene they're in together for the most part, and it's like their chemistry is just like fine. But like I wasn't like, oh, I want them to be together kind of thing.
Every fucking conversation, the first conversation,
it's the same
scene,
conversation.
It's the same one. She says something with big words, and he's like, "In English, please," and I'm like, that was. I understood that. I'm stupid as hell, and I still understood what she was saying. God, he is the dumbest dumb person.
But she's also super dumb.
She's
because
really
like every time he talks to her, he's like, "Hey, I think the robots are doing this," and she's like, "No, it's not possible." But like you've clearly seen them break what you think is possible multiple times, or even at one point when he goes to her apartment to talk to her, I made a note because they're talking about the doctor that died, and she's like, he suggested robots could evolve, and I'm like, wait, so your mentor, the man you believe in so much, who created these robots, thinks they can evolve, and you know this, and you still keep arguing that they couldn't possibly evolve?
Girl, get it through your head.
Why is everyone in this... Okay, here's my thing. I think one of this movie's biggest flaws is that Will Smith should have been the character who didn't believe robots could be anything more than machines. He didn't believe robots could kill. And she should have been the one who was like, no, this guy's my mentor. He believed robots could evolve. I think a robot is capable of this. So she's the one that's pushing Will Smith to investigate it. And she's the one that keeps saying, like, hey, they're capable of this. And Will Smith keeps pushing that whole mentality of, like, no, robots don't have souls. They don't care. They're just machines. They're not capable of breaking the system, which kind of fits better in with his whole prejudice against them, too, because in his mind, he's like, no, they're just machines. They're just follow what they're programmed to do. Exactly. Because he keeps saying that. He keeps being like, they're just machines. They're just clockwork. But then he's also like, but this one's capable of killing because it has a soul. And I'm like, what do you believe, man?
Which one is it?
What do you believe, Will?
Pick a side.
Because they keep jumping back and forth between different sides of the argument. And I'm like, I don't understand what's happening right now.
Like, okay.
So that's my biggest note is I think that she should have believed that it was a robot, and Will Smith should have not believed it was a robot, but reluctantly got along with it because he noticed that there was something wrong with the quote unquote suicide. So he's just following whatever breadcrumbs he can get.
The breadcrumbs. She's never
This has
heard
been my
of
pitch.
I agree.
Hansel and Gretel.
Chloe, do you have any more
That's true.
jokes
I mean, it's the 2030s.
before you get to binge thoughts?
Still, Ed, no, that's about all I got, really. Let's see. No, yeah, I think I'm good.
Ben, what did you think?
I enjoy it. I feel like the movie suffers from its own, I guess, ambitions, just because I think there's a much better movie in it. So it's like,
yeah,
it's not
that's
that
what
I
it is for me.
dislike.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not like I dislike the dumb action movie that it is. It's just because I'm watching it going, you have so much more potential,
Yeah.
and I want to see that. But I think the dynamic between Spooner and Calvin would have been a lot more interesting if he didn't believe that they were capable of that. I think it also would have made his friendship with Sonny more meaningful in the end because he's saying, like, no, I don't believe you're just machinery. And he's, like, really been the one reinforcing, like, they're just machines the entire time. I think it has, like, cool moments, though. Like, one thing we didn't talk about, but the little scene where Sonny asks him what a wink is, and at the end, Sonny winks. I liked that a lot. I thought that was really cute. Here's the thing. If I could rewrite this movie, which I really wish I could.
Because
there's just...
There's a
so
great
many...
movie in this film somewhere. It's there.
Yeah.
First of all, I want it to be less of an action movie. I want it to be more of, like, a dark...
Like a thriller,
noir thriller.
Yeah.
Because I think there's something really creepy and terrifying about the idea that there's all these robots and they can be turned into operatives for the enemy whenever the enemy needs it. So instead of it being like, hey, let's have this giant action set piece where this machine turns into a killer, or hey, let's have this giant action set piece where these robots are just dumped in the middle of a highway, I would have preferred it been like 5 robots that are near that house break in while Will Smith is there, and he has to, like, hide while they're searching for him. Or, like, he's walking down the street and robots look at him and you don't know if they're, like, watching him or not watching him. I think that could have been really cool. I think the mystery element's really cool, and I just would have liked to have seen that played out more. I also noticed there's this thing that I was taught in screenwriting, that a scene is always more interesting if you add a third person. It doesn't say that you always need a third person. Like, there's definitely good 2-character scenes, but it's just like a general rule of, like, hey, when you're writing this scene, see if you can fit a third person there because it creates more of a dynamic. You don't always need one, but it can be helpful. And this movie, I realized up until, like, an hour in, is almost entirely one-on-one scenes. It's Will Smith with Shia LaBeouf. It's Will Smith with his captain. It's Will Smith with the doctor. It's Will Smith with Sonny. So I just feel like the first scene where I really loved the dynamic that was happening and didn't feel like it was kind of just unnecessary personal conflict was what Logan was talking about with that scene with Sonny and the doctor and Will. Or even this scene later when the CEO and Will and the doctor are talking. I know I keep calling him Will Smith because he's Will Smith.
We call him Will Smith. His name he does not matter. His character name does not matter in this movie at all.
It really doesn't. But in that scene, it was interesting because it wasn't just Calvin saying the robot can't do this and Will Smith saying the robot can do this. It was this trio of differing opinions where the CEO was saying, like, I forget exactly what moral argument he was making, but he was making, like, I don't agree with it, but it was a valid argument. And I was like, this is interesting because now it's not just one person saying, I don't believe you, and one person saying, but you need to believe me. It's now, like, ethical questions with 3 sides.
Yeah.
I want the movie this movie could have been.
Could have been something great.
Yeah. What do you think of it, Logan?
Yeah, I think my thoughts echo yours a lot ultimately. Like, I think iRobot is like ultimately like I would still say like I enjoy my time with it. I think it's a good movie, but like it's very much evident that it's that thing of like it weighs the potential had to have been like a great movie, the one that like actually people still do talk about and like still do think about. I think like going a more like noir, like thriller, kind of darker route would have been awesome to have seen. Or even like I'd have been okay if they just like committed to being an action movie. Like they did this like weird middle ground dance, and so like it doesn't do amazing either one. I think there are scenes that I like a lot. I love Sonny's as a character. Like I think Sonny's a really great character. Like I'd love to see more of him. I think Calvin is ultimately pretty forgettable. I think Will Smith, if he's not forgettable, it's only because he's in every single scene of the movie. But like he's fine. And he gets like better, but he's still ultimately just kind of like he's fine.
I definitely only remember Calvin as like whenever I think of iRobot, I think of the Converse scene for one thing, but I also just think of like, oh yeah, that doctor lady was like Tom Brady's girlfriend when this movie came out. That's the only thing I remember, because just the character doesn't stand out.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
No, I mean like that's ultimately kind of what I had to say. Is that like I think if you have like wasted potential, but also like still being enjoyable. Like I think you still have fun watching the movie. So it's like, and like we're gonna get to it in a little bit here, but like Barrett's comment ultimately is kind of where I'm down on it. In terms of like my thoughts on the movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's hard for me because I feel like I always have more trouble liking a movie when I see what it could have been. If a movie gives me things and then lets me down, I'm gonna like it less than a movie that is just okay. So that's my thing with iRobot is like I don't think iRobot is really that bad of a movie. I think iRobot's a fun little action film with some flaws, and like I think its action was probably a lot cooler for the time it came out than it is now. But I had that same thing. I have the same feeling watching it that I had like watching Midsummer this year, where I watched Midsummer and I was like, the first 15 minutes of this movie are super cool, and the first like 40 minutes of it are solid, and then everything after that is just more and more of a letdown. And if the first like 15 minutes weren't so good, I probably would like that movie more, just because it wouldn't have started so high before falling.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I use a similar metric. Like it's kind of what I say too for like when we talk about like James Bond a lot, Ben, where it's like the biggest sin for me is not a bad James Bond movie; it's a boring James Bond movie, one that just like wastes away 2 hours of what could have been something that fun at least, right? Where it's like because like The Man with the Golden Gun is a just objectively bad motion picture film. It's just bad objectively. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun, and like it does some things that are cool and that are like fun to watch and like be a part of and like kind of go on a ride for that. Whereas like Furious Only just does like nothing interesting, does nothing different, does nothing new, doesn't like challenge the format or like try to do anything cool or different. And it's like that's when it's like, oh well, my beef was with you because you didn't do anything right. So it's like I feel like I'm a little different in the vein of like I'd rather at least try and maybe fail like iRobot did in a lot of ways, but like at least try something that's kind of cool at times. And like I think the bigger sin for iRobot to me is that like it's fun, but with that caveat and like pause in the middle of what I said, where it's like like it's good, but
to be fair, even though I say Midsummer was hurt for me in appreciation because of my issues with it, Midsummer is also a movie that I recommend watching more than a lot of movies that I consider like around it in quality, because I think Midsummer is trying things, and I think iRobot kind of falls into that same vein where it's like it's trying things, it's doing like weird, interesting stuff, and I think it's definitely a movie worth watching. What do you think, Chloe?
Yeah, great movie. Can't get super deep into it, but
sure.
I mean, like popcorn flick. Yeah. Those are my favorites.
Let's get ahead of ourselves. Let's get to Barrett's comment.
Okay.
Yeah. So we reached out to the listeners to ask them what they thought of iRobot personally. We got one response from the one and only Barrett Courtney of Kind of Funny fame. He says, this movie is a great summer popcorn flick. The theme of what makes someone human is a little light, which I agree with, especially when compared to the books, but it's a great time and overall was a cool murder mystery, but with robots. Also, shout out to the boy, James Cromwell. And yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good summation of it. It's fun. And then we also have a comment from, the tweet was from that nerdy site.
Yeah, I also didn't know who the fuck, I thought it was Trevor at first.
See, I think it's Cameron because Cameron retweeted it. Which is my tip off there. I don't know if that actually makes it Cameron though. It could be anyone with the access to our Twitter account. If you want to follow our Twitter account, it's at that nerdy site on Twitter.
Nice plug.
Thank you. Anyway, that nerdy site, possibly Cameron says, came out after my first year of college. It's one of the only movies I remember seeing in theaters with just my dad. We loved it. Solid sci-fi mystery. Really put Alan Tudyk on my radar, even though he's the CG robot. Rewatched this weekend, and I think it holds up. The dad thing coming back strong there, man.
It's a dad movie.
It's such a dad movie. Yeah. I want to find like a list of what movies are dad movies and then watch all of those.
Ooh, when is Father's Day is in June?
Yeah.
Is it?
Let's make that
it
June's.
a
What's
thing.
June's month? Where like
Right
What's
now,
our June thing right now?
Fantasy.
We're going to be
Fantasy.
consulting our schedule.
I love the idea of just like dad movies.
The structure I was trying to do for this was 1 month is like a genre and then 1 month is whatever the fuck we want it to be. That kind of falls apart because of the involving robots month for Chloe. But actually, no, it falls apart because of the 69% month. 42069, blaze it.
Hey.
But yeah, we could do a dad month. That'd be fun.
That'd be
I'll need to find a new month for fantasy though, because I'm talking about Princess Bride. If it goddamn kills me.
You could do a comedy month too, because Princess Bride is like 4 different genres of film, really.
That's true. That is
Very true.
very true. Yeah. So those are our listener comments. I agree with Barrett. I think it's definitely light on its theme, but it's a fun little
It's still
action
fun.
murder mystery.
I didn't hate
Yeah.
my life every minute I was watching this. I was having a good
Jesus.
time.
That's true. Yeah, no, I was definitely like sitting there like, I'm enjoying this. I'm having a good old time. I have notes because, I was also thinking more critically because we're talking about it. I feel like if I wasn't sitting there with a notebook in front of me taking notes on my opinions on things, I probably would have had a much more like shut off my brain, enjoy myself for 2 hours experience.
Gotcha. See?
Now let's get to some games, guys.
Ooh, games.
Yeah, I have games. First, we have 2 trivia questions for you guys. So, how many robots has Alan Tudyk played? Bear in mind, this is from me scrolling through IMDb.
I'm saying 3.
Do you have names for them, or like?
Oh no,
where
not
do you think
at all.
they're
No,
from? You don't,
not
you
at
don't
all.
have to.
Just I have 3.
Okay. Okay, there you go.
I can think
I
of
think one's
2.
an animated film.
Ooh, He's been in like so many things that I don't realize it's him.
I know.
But I know there's 2 for sure. Obviously this one, he's K2SO.
Yes.
That's all I got. I know he's got to be
You're going with
someone
2?
else. I'm going to go with 2. It's not 2.
Okay. Alan Tudyk has been 5 robots.
Jesus.
Wow, who the fuck?
Yeah.
Who else?
There's some wild ones in here too. So obviously Chloe was right. He was K2SO. He was Sunny in this movie. He was also a character called Danger Boat in the Amazon TV show The Tick. He is literally a boat.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a boat. Just a talking boat with an eye.
Okay.
He's also a character called Crazy Cousin Gizmo in Robot and Monster. I don't know what that is, but it exists and he's that character. And then finally he's in Astro Boy. I forget what his character's name in Astro Boy is, but he's in the animated Astro Boy movie. Yeah.
I'm going to
Those are
give
his
him
5
robot
robots.
points for being in my favorite robot movie, Transformers Dark of the Moon. He was there.
Oh, is he?
He's not a robot, but he's there. He's great.
Which one's Dark of the Moon? Is that the third one?
That's the third one. That's my favorite one.
Right. Who is he in that? What does he do?
Remember that Sector 7 guy? He's like his assistant. He's just
Ah.
like there, just like hanging out and vibing, but he's great. He brings a lot to the film.
There we go.
Yeah.
Second trivia question for you guys. As I mentioned, iRobot was nominated for Best Visual Effects, but it didn't win. What movie do you think won Best Visual Effects for the 2004 Oscars?
What came out in 2004?
Yeah, have fun with that one.
I'm saying. So. We can 2000. Oh fuck. Lord of the Rings came out in 2001, 2, and 3, I think. So then would Return of the King have been at the 2004 Oscars potentially? So they might have won Best Visual Effects.
I feel like the final Lord of the Rings came out in 2005.
Now, you
No,
told
definitely
us not to Google this, but can I at least Google what movies came out in
Did it?
2004?
You can Google movies of 2004.
2004
You're right. No,
movies.
you're right. It's 2001, 2002, 2003.
Is it Return of the King? That's my guess. Oh, okay. Well, never mind. It's not my guess. JK, just kidding.
2004 movies.
Bear in mind, for the 2004 Oscars, those are primarily movies that came out in 2004, but the Oscars themselves were in 2005. So they're the movies from 2004 that were at the Oscars that happened in 2005, because that's the way the Oscars work.
Holy shit,
The
2004
Village,
was
Shaun of the
a really
Dead.
good year.
Passion of Christ. Okay.
Spider-Man
Saw.
2 and Shrek 2?
God. Troy?
Oh, AVP? Oh my god.
Van Helsing. Blade Trinity.
I was Van Helsing for Halloween once.
I really like Van Helsing. I think it's a really fun, like, dumb, like, movie. I really like that movie
I
a
haven't
lot.
seen it since I was a child, but I remember.
I mean, it's been a while, but I remember that, like, both the movie and there's also a game for it. It's also really fun and dumb.
Ooh.
I like Van Helsing. It's really neat.
Incredible.
That's gonna be my January movie pick now. Based off of these movies I'm looking at, I'm gonna say that the 2005 Oscar winner for Best Visual Effects is the category name
Yes.
is gonna be. I don't think it would have been that. So I'm gonna say it was Troy, maybe.
Okay. Chloe, what do you think?
Oh man, this is tough.
Maybe the Shuck. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna say it's a Day After Tomorrow.
Fuck, that was gonna be my guess, but I'm gonna switch it.
Oscar winning Day After Tomorrow.
It's great. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal in it.
Do you think every movie with Jake Gyllenhaal is great?
Yes.
No.
Actually, no. I watched Velvet Buzzsaw and I really hated it. I watched it for him.
That's fair. I feel bad for. First of all, I'm actually gonna look up what the other one nominated is, just because I'm kind of curious to see if you guys even got the other nomination right. You're both wrong.
Cool.
So, I feel bad for Chloe because she said it. She just didn't say it as a guess. She said it while reading off movies.
Is
from
it
that
Shrek
year.
2?
No, it's Spider-Man 2.
Oh, is it Spider-Man
Oh.
2? Oh,
I was
Yeah.
like,
shoot.
Shrek 2 on Vision. I was like, what?
Oh my god.
The three nominated movies were iRobot, Spider-Man 2, and Harry Potter: The Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh. That makes sense. Spider-Man 2 would win something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
See, Spider-Man 2, Oscar-winning film. Movie's great, guys.
Oscar-winning Spider-Man 2.
I love Spider-Man 2 so much.
Come at us, MCU.
Wow.
Tom Holland ain't shit.
Whoa.
I'm just saying.
I like Tom Holland. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Same.
I do like the Spider-Man. I do like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man better. That's my favorite Spider-Man franchise, I guess. Besides Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
That's not a franchise yet, really, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's going to be.
It's gonna be great. It
going to
better
be.
be.
I'm really afraid of it going
The
downhill.
second one has so much to live up to.
See, I feel like I'm really afraid Spider-Verse is going to get the same treatment that Phil Lord and Chris Miller got with the Lego movie, where the first Lego movie was amazing, and then Lego Batman was really good, and then, like, Lego Ninjago came out, and then Lego Movie 2 came out, and it was, like, okay, and Lego Ninjago was bad, and it's just, like, already oversaturated.
That's really sad.
So this is our podcast about joy and fun in films.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so that was the winner for visual effects. So our last game is specifically targeted at Chloe Naylor herself.
Oh boy.
Chloe,
Yes.
this is a movie featuring robots.
Is it?
It is.
Oh.
You may have noticed from the title and half the cast, quote unquote.
Okay.
Are these robots sexy? Now, obviously, there are two robot designs in this movie.
This is a big question.
Okay. No, none of them are.
Really?
Are they?
No.
Do they qualify under any other? Are they baby? Are they dads?
Okay, the first generation of robots or whatever, like the SV4s or whatever, before the, those are cute.
The old ones.
Those are like babies.
Okay.
They're like adorable. They're not like sexy or anything. They're cute. The newer ones, the ones that all look like Alan Tudyk, freaky. They're too human, too uncanny valley. I don't like it. They creep me out. No thanks.
I agree with that. So Chloe's official robot rating guide says that the advanced robots are creepy.
They're not hot. Doesn't do it for me. Sorry. Too human.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry, every human being who has any interest in Chloe. Hi, do you want to go on a date? Too human.
Yeah, you're too
Too
human.
human, man.
Can you look a little more like robotic, please? A little more angular? Thanks. Okay.
Or be Jake Gyllenhaal.
You have
Those are
to-
the two rules.
Or be Jake Gyllenhaal. That's true.
Final thoughts, guys, about iRobot.
It's good.
Could be better.
It could have been great. Yeah, like it's weird too watching it where it's like as somebody who's such a huge like Will Smith fan where it's like I feel like watching it again now, like seeing like this maybe is in his bottom like tier of Will Smith movies, just because I feel like it's such a like Will Smith role for him in the sense of like he's not enjoying himself and like having fun and like living like doing all this other stuff and like being funny like he can be, being clever like he can be, like even like just like enjoying himself. Like he seems like he's just not being like that happy because his character is miserable, but it's like you're like not tapping into the best aspects of who he can be. It's a weird movie, I would say.
I feel like this is the transition between classic Will Smith and modern Will Smith, where it's like his movies exist.
I think it's definitely it's definitely in like that turning point era. But, like, because there's still great Will Smith movies after this movie. I mean, like, obviously, for sure.
That is very true.
But, like, it is a weird... It's like, one of the first, like, with, like, Wild West, obviously, too. But it's, like, it's one of the first, like, this is a different Will Smith role. And, like, even in Wild West, like, for all of its flaws, like, Will Smith is having hella fun in that movie. Like, he's still, like fun and, like, charming in it, whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's a weird movie, in both in, like, the Will Smith category and also in just the fact that, like, this is a film about aliens and sci-fi shit. And it's, like... How does it do that?
Yeah. So, before we close out our podcast for the day, I want to ask you guys, what's one cool thing you've seen or done today? So just like, or not today, this week. So like anything, a movie you liked or a TV show you liked or a book or just like a cool, interesting article you read or you went to Kind of Funny. You can talk about that if you want.
That was last week, right? Oh my god, was that already a week ago?
Yeah, but it's been 2 weeks since we recorded.
Well, this time last week, I was dressed up as General Grievous screaming on the podcast set, so that was fun.
What is it like to finally be inside of him?
God,
Jesus Christ!
You said the same fucking thing. I'm like, you guys are nasty.
Jesus.
No! It's fine. I don't care. Leave it in. God, y'all are fucking disgusting.
I'm sorry.
Wow. I left the costume.
No, own your shit, Ben, but damn.
Damn. Wow.
It was the first joke I thought of.
You're disgusting. All you men are the same.
Wait, I didn't say shit. Don't put me in this boat.
You're a man. I'm sorry.
Thanks a lot, Ben.
That was my cool thing. I screamed until I had a genuine cough, and I was really channeling General Grievous.
Nice. Happy for you. I'm sorry I made a gross joke about it instead of expressing
It was a
joy
Grievous joke, yeah. Thank you.
Over the course of the last 10
boy.
days, basically from like when we were like launched that nerdy site to now, I watched the entire second season of Parks and Rec.
Oh, nice.
And
is
then
this your first time?
No, I mean my Parks and Rec one is weird. Where like I've never watched the whole show all the way through, so like I know things that like I've seen a lot of the episodes on the first like 4 or 5 seasons maybe, but like not all of them, and like nothing really beyond that. So it is like Trevor just like put it on one day where we were like chilling out, and then we just kind of kept watching, and then he left, and I was like, I'm gonna finish the season. It's very good. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm off tomorrow, and so by the time we do next week podcast, I'll be able to talk about my thoughts on Parasite. I'll be able to talk about my thoughts on The Lighthouse, and so next week is the week where we're gonna have some big old fashioned thoughts on that. Might even do like a potential based on like who else has seen it by that point in time. Potentially do like either a Lighthouse or a Parasite like spoiler cast kind of thing.
I have to go see this.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, I was gonna say basically like I somehow crammed 4 movies in theaters into 1 week. Don't know how I did that.
Oh yeah.
But I saw Parasite, I saw Lighthouse, I saw Jojo Rabbit, and I saw Last Christmas. So I got a chunk of my movie viewing for the rest of the year out last week.
Nice.
All very good movies. Well, 3 very good movies, 1 good movie.
Okay. Great thing about living in the middle of Illinois in nowhere, none of those movies are showing by me. So I have to go downtown to see those. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it sucks.
That makes sense. I wouldn't either.
I don't want to do that.
That has been our episode of That Wannabe Film Class, talking about iRobot. For movies of the 2000s. Our next movie is going to be brought to us by Chloe.
I'm
also
so
2000s
excited about this movie.
It's gonna be real good, guys.
What movie have you got for us, Chloe?
We're watching what's probably the best Uncharted movie we'll ever get, National
Yes.
Treasure.
Yes.
Now streaming on Disney+.
Hey!
It's gonna be so good.
It's gonna be great. I'm excited to watch it again.
This is the movie that I'm most excited for that we're gonna watch so far, and I picked one of the movies.
Nice.
I'm so excited for National Treasure. I'm so excited for
No, I get that. I'm super pumped for National Treasure. So yeah, if anyone listening wants to watch along with us, we will be recording next Tuesday. If you have questions for us about our feelings about the movie. If you have your own opinions about the movie that you want us to talk about on the podcast.
10 tweets from y'all about National Treasure. And if I don't get them, I'm going to come at you. All right?
That's good. That's fair. And to tweet that at us, you can tweet at that nerdy site, but also use the hashtag Wannabe Film Class. I know it's a little long, but I wanted it to be exclusive to us. So that's what we're using. So yeah, tweet with hashtag Wannabe Film Class. We'll talk about it when we record next Tuesday. And this has been That Wannabe Film Class. Please go to That Nerdy Site's Patreon to support us if you like what we've done here. Subscribe to us on podcast services. We're on Spotify and on iTunes. And rate us.
Podcast services,
like
5 stars. If you don't like what you listen to, I want you to hop off of That Wannabe Film Class on iTunes and go over to OKB's podcast. Give them your negative reviews and stars. And then when you have it out of your system, come back over to us and give us 5 stars and tell us how much you like us and how Chloe has good robot thoughts and Ben is a great host and how I'm just like one of the internet's cutest boys. And like say all these things to us. And then, again, to be clear, it is OKB's podcast that you want to go to for your negative reviews and just give us all the happy things. Anyway, also thank you. Also, if you'll indulge me here, because it's a classic input bit I did, so I have to continue it on a new show. I want you, listener of the show, Christian or Cameron or I don't even know, Barrett Courtney or anybody who listens to this podcast made it this far into it. I want you to tweet at Moises Tavares, just anything, just like how you doing? No, tweet him. I saw you today. Just tweet him that and nothing else. Just him, I saw you today, and then just let it go. You know what I mean? That's all you got to say.
Okay.
I like that the end of our podcast is just living off of inside jokes. Like anyone who decides to listen to this, who like if this podcast blows up and someone's like, I want to go listen to the back catalog, they get to the end of this and they're just like, who's Moises Tavares? Who's
Moises
Cameron?
Yeah.
Who's Barrett Courtney?
Who are these people?
Are they?
Before we leave, guys, where can everyone find you if they want to follow along with your life outside of this podcast? Chloe?
You can find me anywhere and everywhere at Echo Chloe. That's Twitter, that's Instagram, that's Twitch.tv, all those good places. Same username everywhere.
Logan?
You can find me at LeftyLogie on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, filters. I guess I don't have Snapchat, but find me there probably. Apple iTunes Music pop charts for German music. All the places, basically. And then you can go check out, like Ben said, That Nerdy Site. Trevor's got a post on there. By the time this goes live in, like, I guess 2 days, we won't have any other shit up there. But Trevor might have his Luigi Mansion 3 review on the site by that point in time. And then by the time next week's episode goes live, next Thursday, we will have all kinds of shit popping off and on the site and reviews and features and all that kind of stuff. So go check all that out. And also go check out all the other podcasts. Me, Ben, and Ben and Claire went there. Fuck them. But me and the Austin Cruise episode of That Nerdy Site show went live as well, so you can go check that out. And then, do all those different things. That's where I'm at. Ben, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at Mr_BentoBox on Twitter or at Mr. BentoBox on Instagram. Those are my only 2 real major social media platforms. I have a TikTok. I only use it to watch other TikToks. TikTok is great. Check it out, guys. Check out Chloe's TikToks.
Oh, God.
She's got some content. One blew up.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good point, Ben. I take back everything I just said. Hi, my name is Logan. Go to Lefty Logie. And then instead of going to Lefty Logie, go to Chloe's Twitter instead.
She has 13,000 followers. So check out her TikTok for all the Chloe content.
I'm also Echo
Her initial
Chloe
General
TikTok.
Grievous video is just the beginning.
Oh, boy.
Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I kept trying to outro and then distracting us with other things. But this has been That Wannabe Film Class. Thank you so much for joining. We'll be back next week with National Treasure.
National Treasure.
Bye.
Man.
Yay.